For over 100 years, the automotive design has assessed, adapted, and overcame the changing tastes and needs for the car-buying public, evolving in a way few other industries have. And while it's a non-stop evolutionary process, there have been some designs along the way that have become timeless, taking the public's breath away when unveiled and stirring strong emotions when viewing them. Yeah, those aren't the cars we're going to be talking about today. What's up guys, Cruizers Motorsports, and just like a Ferrari F40 can make you dream of wind in your hair at wide open throttle, there are some designs that evoke just the opposite. Like, you know, they make you want to punch a baby.
You disgust me.
And I'm not pulling any of those punches today either, as I'm a diehard Chevy guy, and spoiler alert, there are 2 Chevys on this list. I'm also not going for the low-hanging fruit, however, like the Pontiac Aztek or AMC Gremlin. They may be ugly, but they don't piss me off just by seeing one on the road. No, I'm after the ones that have somehow gotten some undeserved pass instead of taking their place beyond the Aztek in the ugly car museum, or even better, in the scrapyard where they belong. These are the top 5 cars that piss me off for merely existing. Now, don't get me wrong here, I'm not one of those old souls that despise electric cars and dream of the days when carburetors ruled the land. I am, however, flailing against the whole crossover market killing the traditional car market. Crossovers are just bloated cars anyway, as they all exist with car underpinnings. They're bland, unexciting, cookie cutters clogging up the roads. It's bad enough that they're killing cars, but to take such an iconic nameplate such as the Mustang and just slapping it on this monotone husk is just adding insult to injury. I could say the same thing about the Chevy Blazer, really. Though the Mach-E just feels like a slap in the face. Its very existence an insult to nearly 60 years of fine Mustang lineage. The Rubbermaid bean counters at GM began their murder of the Chevy line in late 1996, axing cool cars and basically making it a fleet line. Less than a decade later, realizing that the Chevy brand was based on excitement and performance and not fleet sales, they pushed what probably was the most unimaginative turd to ever come out of Detroit, the HHR. The HHR stood for Heritage High Roof. Dubbed it as a crossover. Man, the 2000s had some weird words for minivan, didn't they? It was a blatant ripoff of a vehicle that had already ruined Detroit, the PT Cruiser. Like the PT Cruiser, yes, it had a performance version that, in a sense, carried on the mantle of front-wheel drive GM performance. Nah, it's really just a grocery hauling minivan that represents everything wrong with modern Chevrolet. Hi there, we're Chrysler, but we're going to resell you a 32 Ford Roadster that looks like it was designed by Boyd Coddington if Boyd Coddington actually made anything out of plastic. But we're going to put in a Mitsubishi V6 because the rumbleable V8 might hurt your vagina. Just kidding, I just needed a car to break up the 2 Chevys on the list here. No, seriously, Prowler, I hate you. Next up, in the retro trend that nobody asked for, wow, I'm starting to see a pattern here with these retro cars now that I'm thinking about it. There's this freaking monstrosity that if it weren't for the angle of the windshield, you could barely tell if it was coming or going. Then GM decided to tack on a truck bed that literally has about the same cubic feet of space as my old Chevy Caprice. Carpeted it, and then put a tonneau cover on it so shitty that you wouldn't want to take it through a car wash. Yeah, the mindset. Instead of keeping the Camaro alive, they were shitting out bricks like this. And God, I can hear all the old Chevy guys now. But it came with the 390 horsepower Corvette motor in it. Oh God, yeah, I guess you need something to compensate for that prescription of Viagra you have, don't you? But don't take my word for it. Its own Wikipedia page talks shit about it. It's that bad. Oh, now we're really getting into the ones that make my blood boil. Seriously, if you ask me which would make me more angry, seeing someone speed through an active school zone or have to stare at one of these at a stoplight, my reply would simply be yes. This thing reminds me of like a retarded offspring of the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Honda has never been my favorite automaker, but their stupidity to make what equates to an extra large size Honda Accord and then call it a crossover and then shove it down consumers' throats for 6 years is GM level of special needs. Hey, I wonder what the AMC Spirit Wagon would look like, if it was redesigned a couple times. Oh God, go back! Literally, my first thought when I saw a Crosstour was, God, you bought a really over-bulbous Accord. You don't deserve a crossover. Or a car. Like, if that's your taste in automobiles, you just don't deserve to have one. Before we get to number one, though, just a few honorable mentions. Porsche Panera Bread, whatever the hell that thing is. Basically, 99% of cars made by the French. And old Prowler, I still hate you. In the early 2000s, Chrysler was in trouble. I mean, yeah, it's Chrysler. They're always in trouble. Falling back on the if it ain't broke, don't fix it mantra of 15 years prior, they created a new minivan from the Dodge Neon underpinnings, just as they had the K-car for the Chrysler minivans of the 1980s. The only problem was, they made it look like this. Before bringing it to market, however, Chrysler execs figured out how ugly it really was and didn't expect it to sell, so they made it cheap. How cheap? Well, when they came out, you could get one nicely optioned for under $20,000. Congratulations on spending an extra $5,000, by the way, on your Neon to make it a hatchback. To make matters worse, because of the low price point, Chrysler would sell the absolute shit out of these minivans, and they became unjustly popular. At the time they were becoming popular, I was a salesman at a full-service car wash, and I asked customers why they bought a PT Cruiser. These exclusive group of owners, being overweight, middle-aged women with a cat hoarding problem, would typically answer, "It's cool because it looks like an old milk truck," and then be pissed off when I charge them the price for a minivan instead of a car. But since when were old milk trucks cool? Defenders of the penis tunnel, PT Cruiser, will argue two things to me. One, that it had a convertible version, and I have a weakness for convertibles. My response is, if you have a PT Cruiser convertible, you just simply don't deserve to own a convertible, plain and simple. The other argument being that it had a performance version that was pretty good for the budget of the car. To which I'll point out that so did shitty cars like the AMC Gremlin, Chevy Citation, and Mercury Lynx. It still doesn't make it cool. Whew, so there it is. I need anger management now. There's the top 5 cars that I absolutely hate and make me want to punch a baby. What's your top 5? Tell me in the comment section below. Do you agree with the list? Do you disagree with it? Tell me in the comment section below. On your way down in the comments, check out the description for links to Cruizers' social media, Twitter, Facebook, and the likes, links to the title sponsor, and links to how to get a Cruiser sticker for your real-life ride, as long as you don't own a PT Cruiser. Or a Plymouth Prowler. I say I hate you both. I thank you so much for the support, my friends, and remember, those friends, they're the family you get to choose. I'll see you next week, fellow Cruisers.